Fans, we are live on thehannibaltv.com with a special Thursday edition of the Great North Wrestling Podcast. And I have a special guest today, an individual who is a current NWA women's competitor, an individual who has also worked for several other promotions that we'll get into, but also one of the stars of the very hot and talked about indie movie, The Kill City Cup, which we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of that great piece of cinema as well. But I am, of course, talking about the one and the only Natalia Makarova. How are you today, ma'am?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm doing great. Thank you so much. I'm actually excited, and I can't wait to talk about all this stuff.
Perfect. Yeah, you certainly have a really interesting career to date. But to start off, being from Russia, I was interested in doing the research for this, how you first became aware of professional wrestling as a phenomenon and how you became interested in pursuing it as a career.
Well, actually, it's kind of interesting because obviously in Russia, wrestling was not that popular. When you ask what is wrestling, people like, you mean this? Kind of like talking about arm wrestling. So not too many people knew what wrestling was. But for me, it was a little bit of a lucky charm. One of my aunt's friend, when I was a kid, she just gave me a video game for PlayStation 1, SmackDown Know Your Role 2.
Good game.
That was the game. So I didn't know anything about pro wrestling. I was just playing that video game. That's how I was introduced to every person in wrestling like that. And then later on, I saw wrestling. And I was like, oh, I know that guy. I used to play. I know this one. And that's how I learned about pro wrestling. But once I watched it and I saw it, I knew right away that I want to be a part of it. I want to be a pro wrestler. I knew that was my dream.
Excellent. Now, from that point that you decided to pursue it, how did you get involved in the training process, and what did that training process look like for you?
As soon as I found out there is a school in Moscow, I immediately went there. I was 17 years old. It was basically a Russian guy. His name is Vadim Koryagin. He went to Canada to Killer Kowalski school. He learned a few things there, and he came back and opened his own school. He was like a businessman, a good businessman. And I learned my basics there, but obviously not even close to anything that I know now. But somehow after, Japanese promotion DDT Pro got in touch with me, and they brought me to Japan. So that was my first country I went outside of Russia for wrestling, and that was my main school, I would say. I learned a lot over there. Sinshiro Takagi was in charge of DDT Pro back then. That was a great experience. But then obviously after that, my wrestling changed a lot because I traveled all over the world, learning a little bit of everything everywhere.
We hear a lot about the Japanese strong style and the dojo phenomenon and how it really sets an individual up for a career in wrestling in terms of toughness and versatility. Was that your experience over there, the very physical emphasis on training?
Yeah, that's true. So I've been to Japan a lot of times for different promotions. So like I said, I started with DDT Pro, which is really strong style. And that's how I was when I came to America. I was really strong style, which I had to adjust a little bit here over years. But I also went there for Tajiri promotion, Smash for WNC, that was the name. And then later on, I went for Marvelous, which is Chigusa Nagaya school. And those are not that strong style. They're the opposite. So it's a little different. So I learned that one too. But training there, those are not rumors. This is true. It was a really, really, really intense training. Like when I was with Marvelous, I lived there for months and starting training 9 a.m. till 5 p.m., 6 days a week. And it's really intense. Luckily, this thing in Japan, they have senpai and kohai. So I was senpai, so they respected me, and I didn't have to go through all torture like worst stuff, But they had girls there who were like starting like first year, and they were legit doing really like crying, doing things, and they never care. They were like, no, keep going. And that's why once you finish the school in Japan, there's no way you can be bad. You definitely have a character. That means you have stamina. You're athletic enough. They built you into an actual athlete there.
Excellent. And part of your uniqueness in terms of your resume that you've touched upon is that you've had an opportunity early on in your career to wrestle in a number of countries, not only Russia, Japan, but Europe, Asia, Middle East, etc. How did that set you up for the career that you're experiencing in the United States in terms of giving you exposure to various styles? And we'll talk about your work in Mexico too. But for now, just your initial international flavor.
So basically, yeah, I've been to over 25 countries. After I went to Japan, I didn't know back then, but obviously for people who know wrestling, it's a big deal. And if you train in Japan, that's a good thing. So I started traveling all over Europe. People were inviting me to wrestle a lot of European countries, like you said, Asian countries, Singapore, where WWE noticed me, and even Morocco and places like that. So I would say that wrestling in those countries is not huge. So there was no real style there. You cannot be like, hey, this country had this style or Europe had this style. It's all basically similar to American style, like we do it in United States, but mostly on a lower level, even though there's some really talented people out there. Like, let's say in Finland, there is a guy named Starbuck. He's from Canada, and he taught me a lot of things. He gave me a lot of good advice. He's one of those people who understand psychology and how to tell the story. So some of those people actually are really good. But the style, I would say I stayed with my Japanese style all the way till I went to United States, and that's where I came to Florida. So I met Brian Idol, who is my tag partner right now. So he taught me. He was the first person who taught me psychology, how to do the match, the character, personality, all this kind of stuff. So I'm extremely grateful and forever grateful to him for that, because that changed my career a lot. Because I was like, okay, now I get it. That was a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of international tours, Ivan is asking how you like Puerto Rico in your recent visit, and World Wrestling Council is making a comeback.
I love Puerto Rico. It's like beautiful island. Fans there are amazing, sold out, always supportive. I love going there. WWC is a great promotion. I'm so happy that it's coming back because it has history behind it. And honestly, I love old school things. I like legacy in wrestling and tradition. And that WWC is one of those old promotions that I just respect a lot. And I'm really proud to be a part of it. I'm going there. I always go there just to support wrestling in Puerto Rico. I think that wrestling there is special. It's different from anywhere else. And every time I have a chance, I want to go there and I want to do something to help and make it better, bring more fans. And I hope it will grow even bigger. The last show we did, a bigger show, Euphoria, was a big show. There were a lot of people there. So thank you, Puerto Rican fans, each one of you who came to that one and supported. I hope there will be more and more.
So you touched on the fact that WWE took notice of your work, fairly early on, and you had, to my understanding, shot down at the Performance Center. Can you talk about how that came together and what that experience was like for you?
Yeah, that was great. So I went to Singapore to wrestle, not knowing anything, but there were WWE scouts out there. I think they were looking for Asian talent back then. I'm not sure, but they noticed me there. They liked me, and they said that you gotta come to United States. We have great chances. You should come to Performance Center, and I did. Basically, once I found out, I took like 1 year and a half, I think, time just to work and make money to make it happen. I was legit, if you remember that, I was not doing anything fun. I was just working, starting early morning to late night, working out myself. I was a personal trainer at the gym, and there was like years of my life just getting ready, and I ended up coming, and that was great. I enjoyed it, and they actually really liked me. So I had to do my paperwork, and it took a million years to make that happen. So yeah, but it was a great experience, and I'm really happy that it happened in my life.
In fast forward a few years later, you in 2021 you did a number of shots with All Elite Wrestling that the fans will remember from Dark Elevation. Had some some very well received matches there. How did that come about? And do you, if you had an opportunity to sign with AEW on a more protracted basis, would that be one of the things you'd be looking to do?
I'm always open to anything. Time that I had with AEW was great. Atmosphere big stage was awesome. Everybody was really friendly, really supportive. Like I still cannot forget, like Paul White came to me after my match and gave me a good speech. He actually liked me and he liked my skill. And I just felt really welcome there. And I just stopped doing that because I went the other route, but it was nothing bad or wrong. And it's not like they didn't want me. So like I said, nowadays I'm open to any offers. I'm independent right now. So I never say no to anything. That's how I live this life. I always open for any opportunity that goes my way.
Did you notice a difference between the work that you did in the women's division at the Performance Center and the AEW women's division? Any marked differences that jumped out at you?
Honestly, I would probably say that maybe WWE atmosphere was just a little more professional, like everything more to the book. And AEW is more like friendly environment, like you're hanging out with your friends, which I honestly like both. I think both are good. They're just different, but I didn't feel any negativity in either promotion. So they both were good, and honestly, like I hear a lot of people saying bad stuff, but nothing bad happened to me, which I'm really grateful for.
Mm-hmm. So at present day, in terms of your wrestling endeavors, you're a member of Billy Corgan's NWA roster, which is we keep hearing to be on the brink of signing major TV deals with the network, et cetera, and also receiving quite a lot of positive critical acclaim anyway for their product. How did you end up getting hooked up with the NWA, and did you have any discussions with Mr. Corgan himself?
Well, honestly, Billy Corgan just reached out to me and he said he thinks I have a big star potential and he thinks I can be a star and I should try. And I said, of course I want to. And there was just one interaction, and after that I came, and it went so well. Like, me and Billy are on the same page on a lot of things. I think he's a great boss. He knows what he's doing. I love his understanding of wrestling. He respects legacy and tradition like I do too. And I think the route that NWA goes is really good because it separates it from any other promotion. They have their own style. So it's like you tell the story and you try to touch fans' souls. It's not just athletic jumping around. It's a story. You want fans to feel emotion, and that's what we're going for. Like you want to have a character, personality that people want to look up to or hate you or whatever they want to feel. But I think that's a good route. And again, the good thing about NWA, they don't try to compete against anybody. They just have their own path. And Billy, he's really smart. He's a genius. So he has this long-term plan that he's following, and he's not affected by any drama or anything. He just does his own thing, and I really respect that.
and talk about tradition with the name and that heritage as well. In the NWA, you had some really standout matches against the rumor to be departing soon champion Camille, including a no limits bout that was somewhat brutal in nature. Can you talk about those matches and the chemistry that you definitely seem to have that translated on screen with Camille?
Oh yeah, I loved wrestling Camille. I think she's really good, and we do have chemistry. Every time we're in the ring, it's just something special. And that match, the No Limits match, was basically a tribute to Terry Funk. That match was one of my favorite matches ever. So if you didn't have a chance to watch it, I highly suggest you go and watch it. There was a fun match with a lot of weapons and bumps. um, and I think Camille, she deserves a lot. So I hope she will make it big. I hope she will have all the best things in her career. Every time I wrestle her, like I said, I just feel happy. That's wrestling. That's how I want it to be.
Definitely. Do you have any particular goals with respect to the NWA specifically?
I just want NWA to get as big as it possibly can be. I just want to help the promotion, uh, do my part to make it bigger. I don't have goals inside the promotion. I'm happy with where I am. I love my spot in there, and like I said, it feels like home there. So I only wish them the best. I want them to grow as big as possible.
Mm-hmm. For a number of years, at least on the independent circuit and specifically some of the smaller companies in the United States, there was a rash, and I'm thinking of TNA Impact that had Tessa Blanchard as their champion, and she was involved in intergender matches with men. That series against Brian Cage jumps out. What are your thoughts on the intergender match phenomenon, and how would you respond to critics that indicate that those type of matches take the ability for the audience to suspend disbelief, that they make it very difficult to do so? Do you see a spot in the sport for intergender matches?
I think that wrestling has a room for anything, for whatever you can make work. I just think that with intergender wrestling, there is a fine line. You want to make it look good. You want to keep the psychology of it, if we use those terms. Like, I think it should just make sense and it should look realistic. And if you do it right, I think intergender wrestling is actually really fun to watch. I had a couple intergender matches in my life. I just never just wrestle like every time you do the match in the ring anyway, you keep in mind the size, you keep in mind the characters. So as long as you do it right, I think that intergender wrestling is a good thing. And again, like, there's room for anything. I always say that if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. You just watch what you like, because it's like in life and movies. It's not like you have to watch every movie. If you don't like horror movies, don't watch horror movies. But there are always people who love those. So whoever loves intergender wrestling, those people should be watching that.
Do you have a particular opinion on women holding quote unquote the male titles per se?
Again, this is just makes it different. It's variety. People try to do something new, something different. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's good to try and to see how that goes. I don't think anything in wrestling is like crazy wrong. Again, it's art, you can make everything look interesting. Again, if you do it right.
Good point. Going to run through a name association exercise with you, because you've wrestled some of or been in the ring with some of the tremendous competitors in the modern era. I'll start with Jordynne Grace, who was recently in the WWE Royal Rumble, the TNA Women's Champion at present.
Yeah, she's good. I liked wrestling her. We did even AAA with it together, Triplemania. I think she's really good. I respect her dedication, obviously, the way she changed her body. That says a lot about what kind of person she is. I think that's the main thing, whatever you do in life, as long as you're dedicated, as long as you're persistent and you have the spirit just to go for it, you will accomplish anything. So I respect her, and I'm really, really happy that she was on this Royal Rumble. I think she deserved that.
Mm-hmm. Current WWE competitor that you faced in a couple of promotions, to my understanding, Shotzi Blackheart.
Yeah, that was an Evolve, which I honestly loved the time working with Evolve. I learned a lot when I used to do those shows. And I loved working Shotzi. We were actually on this Evolve anniversary that was on WWE Network. It was a good thing. It was fun experience. Paul Heyman was on that show too. Uh, Shotzi has a good style. I like her too. And I think we had good chemistry.
Absolutely. Chris Statlander.
Oh, she's really good. We wrestled at Shine, and we both have this strong style, which is snug and intense. We clicked right away, and that was a great match. Actually, I loved it. I think she's one of the best wrestlers in AEW right now. She's really, really good.
Ivelisse.
Ivelisse, she has her own style. We also wrestled in Shine. We have a couple matches for the title out there. She has her own vision of wrestling, which I respect. She's a veteran. So I always, when we wrestled, I always listened to her. I was trying to learn as much as possible because she knows a lot and she's been through a lot. And again, I'm newer compared to her. So I am old school. I see her as a veteran. So I just listen and learn, and that's how I see Ivelisse. I think you just got to respect that and get the most out of it.
Tay Conti.
We didn't have a lot, so we just wrestled once. That was pretty snug, I remember. I was just one of those matches when you gotta get through it and make it happen. I'm happy she's living a happy life right now. Good for her.
And finally, the enigmatic Abaddon.
Abaddon was fun. She's really cool. In real life, she's cool. She likes all those horror movies. She likes cool things, and we had fun doing our match. I like her a lot, and I'm wishing her all the best.
So, given the fact that you still have a lot of gas left in the tank, do you have a dream opponent or someone that you'd like to share the ring with under particular circumstances for a title, or just someone that you've always wanted to work with that haven't yet?
People often ask me this question. I never actually do have a dream opponent. I just like wrestling everybody. I like wrestling different people. Either it's a girl who started like 6 months ago or somebody experienced. I just love wrestling and I like experiencing it. But let's say if you have to choose one, I used to love Trish Stratus when I was a kid. The fact that she's around and she's doing it and she's doing it really well, I would feel really proud to be in the ring with her one day under whatever circumstances. It doesn't seem really extremely realistic right now, but you never know. So that's probably one of those things that would make me happy.
Yeah, big ups to her, a fellow Canadian and a legend. You touched on briefly in 2023, you were on the huge Triplemania card for AAA. And maybe some fans that aren't as familiar with Mexican wrestling don't understand the scope of that card because it is really their WrestleMania. Can you talk about how you got booked and what that experience was like?
Yeah, that was amazing. And yeah, for those who don't know, Triplemania is basically WrestleMania. AAA is the biggest promotion in Mexico, and their shows are huge, sold out, huge arenas, stadiums. Triplemania was an actual stadium, was a lot of people out there. There was just experience, like once in a lifetime experience that you can never forget. And Conan actually booked me for that, and Conan is a great mind in wrestling. I like him a lot, and luckily he thinks I'm a star. He thinks I'm really good, so he had all faith in me, and I'm really happy about it. I always want to make him proud. We still have relationship with him. We still have shows planned. I'm actually going to Mexico March 24th in Monterrey. So if any Mexican fans watching, make sure you go to that one. It's Chaos, Monterrey, Mexico, March 24th. And yeah, that was just a thing that it felt special being in the ring in front of that. It's like, I don't even know how many people were there. It was just huge. And I hope that I will do more Triplemanias. I hope there's more stuff like this coming, because always going to Mexico is a pleasure. I love going there. It's different style, lucha libre, which again, I'm so happy that I got a chance to learn, because they do a lot of things differently. And I'm really happy that I was able to keep up, and everybody said I did great. So I'm happy about it.
I was going to ask you in general terms about the best advice that you got from some of the veterans, but since you brought up Conan, there doesn't in the industry now there's not a more experienced and wise veteran in wrestling. What did you pick his brain, and what did he tell you? And then part B of that question would be, when you encounter these sort of legends, do you take them aside and do the same process?
I personally never take anybody aside, because I just feel like it's not good to bother people. Maybe it's me being stupid. But luckily, I'm in the position when I work for them. So I work for Conan, and he was talking to me himself. And yeah, he gave me some good tips and advice. Like, he knows how to work with Mexican crowd, that you want it to be like action packed. And he's really, really wise, like you said. He knows a lot. The good thing about Conan, he's also really straightforward. So he will not be lying to you and saying that something is good if it's not. That's why I was really happy when he liked my work. And yeah, when I meet veterans, I just try to talk to them, but again, not being too pushy about it. I just respect people's time, and I don't want to be like a burden for them.
Fair enough. Wanted to get your thoughts on the so-called women's revolution phenomenon that we heard, so much about a number of years ago now, about women's wrestling taking its position at the top of the card, not just being an attraction, a one match deal, but getting some prominence. Do you think that the state of women's wrestling, and given that you've worked everywhere basically, or most places, do you think that women's wrestling has evolved or lived up to that sort of philosophy, that it should be in a more prominent position, or has some of the steam come out of that, so to speak?
Honestly, the way I look at it is probably boring, but I don't separate women's wrestling and men's wrestling. I think there's wrestling. So if you're a good wrestler, regardless if you're female or male or whatever nationality you are, you will be there. I've done myself a lot of main events, and again, I don't think it's because I'm a woman or because it's women's revolution happening. It's just because you try to work hard, you try to accomplish things, and if fans want to see you in main events, you will be there. So yeah, I don't like looking at things like that. I think that you should just do your thing. Wrestling is wrestling. You can be anybody as long as you make it fun and entertaining.
Excellent. Let's talk about the movie, the Kill City Cup. For the fans that haven't caught all the buzz around the film, could you let them know what the concept is and how you came to be involved in the project?
Yeah, that was a fun thing. They reached out to me and they were like, "Do you want to be in the indie movie that is combination of wrestling and video games?" And I was like, "Yes, I definitely want to," because I love all of it. I like movies, I like horror movies, I like video games, and I like wrestling. So putting it all together in one thing was a great idea. I think it's a great concept. It's kind of like Mortal Kombat inspired thing, I think. So it basically was a tournament, but with this video game vibe. I love being a part of it. It was so fun. So yeah, that's a great project. If you didn't watch it yet, you should go and check it out. It's free on YouTube, called Kill City Cup.
What is your I know it's a tournament and there's matches, but they have a cinematic flavor to them, and your character is almost like you touched on Mortal Kombat, almost like one of the characters from that video game Reptile with the mist and that sort of good stuff. What was that filming like for you, and what parameters were you given? Because that's going to be different than working a regular match in the ring.
Yeah, that was fun. And actually, for me, it was not that much different because, like I said, I love video games. So everything I do in wrestling is a little bit of video game inspired. Even my gear, I designed myself based off probably some mix of Final Fantasy and Mortal Kombat. And my movement in the ring, I used to play fighting games a lot when I was a kid. So all of it was already a little bit like they were wanting that to be. So I fit in perfectly. And yeah, cinematic stuff, it makes it more fun. Like when you do that and you know there will be some cool stuff happening after, like post-production, like in the movie, that obviously made it fun because I couldn't wait to see the final product.
Were you surprised by any of the process that you were involved in terms of the filming or anything else associated with it?
I wasn't really surprised. I've done movies before, and I know how that goes. I wouldn't say it was just another movie, but it was something I'm really familiar with. And like I said, I had fun doing that because it was not just a movie or just wrestling. It was a combination of all of it. The process was fun. It was long, but it was worth it. Everybody put in good work, but it was not just work and suffering. It was work and fun, which I love. That's why I chose to be a wrestler, because I just find it entertaining and fun for myself.
The movie at the end seemed to, without doing any spoilers per se, seemed to leave the door open for a sequel. Would you be interested in reprising your role or some other one again?
Oh yeah, I would love. I hope they will do the sequel, and I hope there will be more of it. Because again, like I think fans loved it. I think everybody had fun, and it's a unique idea. It was something unusual, and there is so much room for more. You can do more things. You can do it better. You can bring more characters, and of course, I would love to be a part of the second thing.
So, in terms of acting as a side project or something that you do in concert with wrestling, do you see yourself doing more of that in the future? Would you like to move your career towards more acting, or kind of balance the two, in ring and acting?
Oh, absolutely, would love to, and actually have people reaching out to me, and I'm in talks with TV shows and movie. So maybe this year you'll hear more about that. But yes, I'm totally into it. I love doing that. I've done a little bit of that in the past in Europe and Russia, and never done big things in America yet. So I'm actually, yeah, I'm looking forward, and it's highly possible.
Excellent. Well, Natalia, you've been very generous with your time this afternoon. But before we go, and I get the information from you where the fans can find you on social media and keep up with what you're doing, just as a generic last question, what is next for you on the horizon?
You never know what's next. The way I look at it, I just do my best. I take every opportunity I have. I try to do the most I can, use all the time I have. Like I said, my overall goal in wrestling is just to reach as many people as possible, because my overall goal is to entertain and to make people happy. So obviously, the more people see me, the more people can be inspired by me. They can see that so you actually can accomplish your dreams if you really try hard. Because I look at myself as a good example that if you really try hard, if you really work hard, you can make anything possible. You know, if you really think of that, I'm just some girl from Russia, a place where people barely know what wrestling is, and now I'm all over the place. I'm on the stage with Smashing Pumpkins and movies, videos. I'm just feeling so happy, and I want people watching me being happy. Even if it's one person, if I can change the life of one person, I feel really happy about it, and I feel like my goal as an entertainer is accomplished. So that probably would be my message to everybody. Just go for your dreams, never give up, and keep going always, no matter what.
Awesome. Well, where can the fans keep up with you on social media?
I have Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, which TikTok I don't really run, but still check it out. All my accounts have blue checks, so if you don't see the blue check, that's not me. Instagram and Twitter is Real N as Natalia Markova, so it's Real N Markova, and Facebook just my name, Natalia Markova. You'll find me there. Yes, please follow me there. See my stuff. I appreciate each one of you. I like seeing you commenting, reacting. Trust me, I look at all of your replies. I love seeing people supporting me and watching me be there. I also have a wrestling school in Largo, Florida. So if you want to be a pro wrestler or you want to be a referee, announcer, valet, whatever you want to be in wrestling, if you want to be a part of wrestling, come check it out. It's Fight the World of Wrestling in Florida.
Well, I want to once again thank you for a very interesting discussion. Natalia, will be sure to keep tabs on your comings and goings, and hopefully have you back if you can spare the time again.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me. That was a really fun interview, and I had a good time.